Lindsay. How are you?
I'm doing good today, Michelle. Excited to be on the mic with you as always. What are we getting into
Yes,
on the
yes,
show
yes.
today?
Lindsay, when was the last time you were physically hurt?
Oh my gosh. Yesterday I had some pain in my left hip. It was so random and then it kind of went away randomly. It appeared
Oh my gosh.
and then went away randomly. So yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
It's so weird when that happens. And,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, if you're, some people, their mind might go, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? What's
They
wrong with me? And then it's
catastrophize,
gone.
right?
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly. So, Lindsay, on a recent episode, the word hurt came up, and we realized how useful it is and important for our listeners to know how to use it. So that's what we're going to talk about today, the word hurt.
Yeah, I love it. And I want to highlight a little bonus word that came up just in our little chat there, Michelle, the word catastrophize.
Yeah.
Kind of a strange sounding word, but a good one for our listeners to know when you make
Yeah.
things a catastrophe, right?
Yeah, when you think like the worst thing is going to happen, you
Yeah.
think, "Oh, I have my hip hurts, so I'm dying." You know, and I think everybody does that to some extent.
We do. And it's gotten so much worse because we have, we can go
Internet.
on to, what is it? WebMD.
WebMD.
And then it's always like, I have cancer, right? It's always,
Yes, exactly. I know.
It's
It's
always
really.
that. Back in the old days, you just used to wait, maybe make an appointment with a doctor. And then I feel like things could just stay a little more calm in our minds sometimes, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So getting into the word hurt, but before we get further into it, I want to remind our listeners, guys, if you love our show, we are all about connection, not perfection. That means we believe the most important thing we're doing here is not grammar, it's not vocabulary, it's not pronunciation, it's connection. So we show you for each episode what this means, what everything we're learning means for connection and how you can lead a happier life with more connections in English. Okay? Good.
Perfect.
So hit follow.
All right.
Hit that follow button now, guys.
Hit the follow
Yes.
button. All right. So let's get into it. So the first way that we're going to talk about it is the physical form, right?
Yep.
So I hurt my hamstring in the gym.
Yes. I hurt my hamstring in the gym. Very straightforward. Or she hurt her funny bone on the door frame.
That's the worst, right? The funny bone.
yeah.
Lindsay, what's the funny bone?
I know the funny bone's pretty funny because it's weird, right? It's more painful, actually, not so funny. It's a part of the elbow.
Yeah.
Where sometimes
And it's just,
we knock it. It just if you hit it, just reverberates, right?
There's something about it. I wonder why,
Must
actually.
be
Now
like
I'm
a
gonna
tendon
look
that
it up.
goes far throughout your arm or something.
Yeah.
Because you could feel
Ugh.
it moving. Do you ever experience that moment when you know pain is coming, but it hasn't traveled to your brain yet? Do you like
Yeah.
experience that gap where you're like, here it
Well,
comes?
that happens with burns, right? When you
Yeah.
like burn your hand on something, and I mean that's even maybe a little more of a delay than what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Stubbing your toe, even there is that moment.
Yes.
where you're like,
You
oh
know,
no,
you know it's
like
coming. You know it's like it's at least a second where you're like you can anticipate it. But then I wonder, does that make it worse because I'm expecting the pain, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
It's probably some sort of protective mechanism,
Maybe.
though, with your brain. I don't know. Who
Or
knows?
your head
I'm
could
not a
hurt, right? Your head hurts. Like you
neurologist,
could say, my head hurts. You have a headache or something, right?
So, Lindsay, does anything hurt you right now, or is your hip
No.
okay?
Luckily, all good today, Michelle. all good, all good. But hurt is just one way to use it is physical. There's another way that we could use it, and what's that?
The more emotional way, right? So this is, something hurts your heart, something hurts you in some way, but not actually physical pain. So, for example, he didn't realize it, but he hurt her every time he brought up her relationship.
Yes, or it hurt me when you made fun of my job in front of my friends. And this is kind of a key relationship skill, being able to articulate when you've been hurt, right? Yeah.
I mean, Lindsay, have you ever unintentionally hurt someone's feelings?
Oh,
or you worry? Yeah.
We all have, right? Of course, if we're living
Yeah.
our lives out in the world, we might not, I would never intentionally hurt someone's feelings,
Right,
but
of
it can
course.
happen. Just some comment that we don't know is affecting someone in some way. Yeah, I try to just apologize and just be like, come clean and just say, I didn't realize that was going to hurt you. I apologize. What about you, Michelle? What's your go-to?
Yeah, I would do the same thing. Sometimes, though, does does something ever happen where you're not sure if you hurt someone's feelings?
Yes.
And you're kind of thinking it through and you're saying, oh, I wonder if this was insensitive because of this thing that person was going through. And should I say something about it to acknowledge it, or should I just pretend it never happened?
Yeah.
You know?
I think you and I are similar in that way. I think we've talked about this on the show before. Like, we both have pretty high empathy levels, and it's that can be a double-edged sword, right? Because it can mean you can turn on yourself and you can think, oh, like, am I hurting someone? Did I hurt this person? And it can be kind of debilitating at times, right? Because we can't move forward and think clearly. Yeah, 100% I do that. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Or I get very worried about like not including people.
Okay.
That like someone will feel like they aren't included, or that I didn't, so sometimes I'm even trying to get like together like a girls game thing with my friends.
Nice.
And I'm trying to think who would, and I would invite just everyone, because
of course.
I can't, like, I'm like so scared that someone would get their feelings hurt.
Of course. Yeah. You don't want to miss anyone. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to think about that person realizing they're not being invited and feeling bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually happening to someone I know right now, that they live in a neighborhood where it feels like all the other couples are doing stuff without them, and they feel quite excluded. Yeah, we're human beings. We can't help but feel hurt at times by these things, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So then we're going to talk about another one, which is the more abstract version. It's more about damage, right? So she hurt her chances by showing up an hour late to the interview.
Yes. This is damage. So you prevent something from succeeding, right? Or it hurts me to see you like this. This one probably...
it's more emotional, I would say. I would say it belongs in that box more. Whoops. Or you can hurt your hair if you dry it without heat protectant spray. So also a little bit physical, but like not necessarily like feeling pain, right?
Yes.
It's more damage.
You can cause problems for the future with your hair. Exactly. Did you ever do something, Michelle, you felt hurt your chances of succeeding at work?
I've been in situations, not at all there's English, but where like I felt I am very social and very outgoing, but where I felt like I wasn't quite in the cool kids club.
Oh no, cool kids. Oh, I thought that was just middle school. There's a cool kids club at work too.
I mean, this was like in one of my first jobs not one of my first jobs out of college, but in the ESL industry. And I just felt like I wasn't like totally in with the people in the teacher's room. And so then you always wonder like, if you feel uncomfortable, does that show? Does that like keep you from getting ahead? So I would say that I felt that way.
Very normal thing. I feel like I'm not usually in either. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, we're learning to connect here, and often we can feel left out and not in that cool club. But then we realize we might have stronger relationships at work than we think we do, right? Individually,
Yeah.
So there's hope.
There's hope for us. Yeah.
There's hope. All right. What else, Michelle? We'll take a quick break, actually. Let's take a quick break and then we'll be right back. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So there are different sayings that our listeners should probably know, because they're kind of chunks. They're kind of sayings. And we have a few of them to share. They're kind of idioms, right?
And guys, there's way more that we could even say about hurt.
Oh yeah.
Different grammar points, but we just wanted to do the basics today.
Yes.
And teach these chunks. These are really useful. I mean, so the first one is hurt someone's feelings.
Yes.
It's not a physical pain, but it's an emotional pain. So it's a little juvenile sounding. What do you think?
Yeah, I would be careful with this. I do think it's juvenile. I think it's something that maybe a kid would come home from school and he's crying and say, oh, Johnny hurt my feelings. Talk to his mom, which is fine. But therefore, I probably wouldn't translate it into the adult workplace. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I wouldn't say, oh, she hurt my feelings.
No. I would come up with another way to say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or even just saying she hurt me, although she hurt me has more gravity to it. So for the workplace, I guess depending on your relationship with the person that hurt you, but if it's just a very casual, like you don't know the person very well, they work in a different department, I think it's a little too strong for work. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. It's a little much. It's a little extra, as they would say.
Extra.
Or what hurts the most is, right? So you're talking about some situation you're going through and you're saying like the worst part, what's like the most painful. So for example, what hurts the most is how she doesn't seem to care at all that the relationship is over.
Yeah. So articulating the worst part, right? And then I don't know, have we done an episode on this? It can't hurt. Oh, we've done an episode on can't help. That was a little bit different.
Right.
But this is good to know too. It can't hurt, right? I can give it a try. It can't hurt. So what would be an example of this? I don't know. I guess if you are like learning a new skill and you don't know if you'll need that skill, like survival skills in the wild or something. You can learn the skills and you're like, well, I don't think I'm going to end up needing to spend the night in the woods, but it would be good to know how to do it if I did. It can't hurt. Right.
Right. Exactly. You do something, maybe you go through even some sort of inconvenience a little bit and you might realize that you didn't need to do something. Okay. But it can't hurt. It's worth a try. It's basically like saying.
Yeah. And then the other phrase that I feel like is good to mention right now that's been coming up a lot lately, just due to the craziness going on in the world, is the phrase hurt people hurt people. Does that resonate? So people that have been hurt before tend to hurt people, if that makes sense.
So that's interesting. I mean, grammatically, what's going on there?
Grammatically, that's really interesting, right? So the person is hurt, so as an adjective, right? And then we turn around and we use it as a verb. So hurt people, hurt people.
Hurt people.
Right? And it's sort of just like observing human nature. And just, I don't know. I've seen it happening out in the world sometimes, right? There's just a lot, like if people have been through a lot, they might turn around and create harm in the world, right? Yeah. So that's just been coming up a lot lately. So interesting stuff, Michelle. Shall we go into a role play?
Let's do it. So here we are friends and I'm upset about a fight that I got in with our mutual friend.
Okay. I'm so sorry that happened.
Thanks. It seemed she was out to hurt me.
That's terrible.
And what hurts the most is that we have had conflicts before, but she always seemed to care. She doesn't seem to care anymore.
Oh, I'm sure she cares. Why don't you call her one more time? It can't hurt.
Yeah, maybe. Ouch.
What's wrong?
Oh, nothing. I hurt my shoulder at the gym yesterday. I'm fine.
Yeah, that's what happens when you start working out, right? You have all these ailments, all these soreness coming up.
Yes.
All right. So we use these phrases in different ways. You said, I'm so sorry that happened about the fight. I said about the fight. And he said, thanks. It just seemed she was out to hurt me. Out to hurt, right? She was trying to hurt you in a way.
It was her goal. Yeah, exactly. And then I said, what hurts the most is that we've had conflicts before, but she always seemed to care. She doesn't seem to care anymore. So that's the worst part about it.
Yeah. Common if you're going through a breakup, right? There's always something that's like the most painful part, right? And then I said, I'm sure she cares. Why don't you call her one more time? It can't hurt. Right.
So, and then I said, yeah, maybe. And then I said, ouch.
Right. And I said, what's wrong?
And I said, oh, nothing. I hurt my shoulder at the gym yesterday. I'm fine. So physical pain.
Yeah. So this is clearly used all over the place. Today we went through the buckets of the word hurt: physical, emotional, or just damage, right? Doing damage to something, a relationship, your hair, whatever it is. Michelle, is there another episode we should go to?
Guys, check out episode 2588. That was We Wish for You to Master English.
And I really think the connection skill here is that no one makes it through life without some kind of hurt, right? This is being human.
Yes.
A key essential piece of being human is you are vulnerable to being hurt physically, like emotionally, but like that's also means that we're just alive, right? So on a deeper level, we share that so we can connect over that. I mean, like you've been through heartbreak, right, Michelle? Like romantic heartbreak. I've been through it. We've all had our first heartbreak. And if you talk about your first heartbreak, people can relate to you enormously. Don't you think?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. There are certain universal hurts, I
Yes.
guess I'm going to call them,
Yeah.
that people go through that, can help you connect.
And also they make you stronger. They make you smarter.
True.
They make your heart a bit more tender, I think. I know when I was going through some tough breakups in my 20s and 30s, I feel like I became like in that moment when I was heartbroken, I became more open. Like I became more empathetic to other people, like more sensitive, right? So there's something kind of cool about that too. At the same time.
As you grow and you develop more experiences, even if they're painful, you can really, morph into something even better and become stronger.
So deep.
Right. So deep, guys.
Right, good stuff. If you guys like our style, we like to go deep. We like to talk about connection, which is really why we're here learning the language, right? It's not for grammar. You'll get your grammar, you get your vocab here, but it's for a better reason, right? So we can lead happier lives and connect. So hit the follow button if you love our show. And Michelle, I'll see you soon. All right.
All right, Lindsay, have a good one.
All right. You take care. Bye.
Bye.